The first international football match, the game that changed the world. This is the story of what one match did for the world.
The first international football game was played in Glasgow, Scotland, 1872, between Scotland and England. These teams were selected to represent their country to compete against their rival country. This game lasted for 1.5 hours but ended up as a 0-0 match. But this hour and a half changed the world. Now, let's take it back to where it all started.
Starting back in 596, this was when the first battle between Scotland and England took place. This started a long line of many wars and battles between Scotland and England throughout the first couple thousand years of the Common Era. These wars over time have shed a lot of bloodshed among the Scottish, English, and other civilizations. Over time, 12 wars and many battles have started between these two countries. These many years of bloodshed set a massive rivalry between Scotland and England. There have been many wars between England and Scotland, but the first major war between these two countries was from 1296 to 1328. This was very similar to the American Revolution. Scotland was seeking independence from England since they overthrew Scotland's king. After 32 years of fighting, killing, capturing, and all sorts of destruction, King Edward III signed the Treaty of Northampton to end this long line of killing. This gave Scottish exactly what they were fighting for: independence. Over the course of 18 centuries, these two countries have also had another massive war with each other. This war started with Scotland being on the offensive side this time, rather than the defensive side. This war began in 1512 when an alliance was formed between Scotland and France. Henry VIII of England attacked France. This caused issues between Scotland and England because Scotland and France were allied. So to help their allies, Scotland's King James IV organized an attack to invade England. This then ended in disaster when James was killed at the Battle of Flodden Field. The reason for this match was to end this long, bloody rivalry. This match was played to bring together these two countries that have a long, bloody history. The match helped end one of the biggest and longest rivalries in history, and all they had to do was play a single football match. In turn, after this match, there have been no more battles between Scotland and England, so one could say that this match successfully ended all their disputes. Now, let's go into more about how this great match was a turning point in history. After the creation of the Cambridge Rules, this match officially started. This was a normal football match, but it was the first international one. This match was played between England and Scotland and lasted 90 minutes. This game took place in Glasgow, Scotland in 1872 at Hamilton Crescent. In this 90-minute match, neither team substituted any of their players, and the game ended up as a 0-0 draw. This game was viewed by 4,000 people, which is way less of a crowd than a modern football game. But the news of this game spread very quickly as being the world's first international football match. Now, let's talk about some of the more important people that made this match happen, the people that played a big role in this turning point of a match. The one person we focused on who was not a player was English sportsman Charles Alcock. Charles Alcock was an English sportsman, administrator, author, and writer. Alcock led the team of English players to play against a Scottish team for the first time to start the first international match. Alcock played a large role in the match. He was one to organize the first match. Without him, this turning point of an event would have never taken place.
The other players that we showed during this documentary are the keepers and captains of these two international teams. The first one was the keeper and captain of the Scottish team. His name was Robert Gurrad. On the other side of the match with the English team, the keeper was not the captain of the football team. He just played his role as keeper. The English captain was named Cuthbert Ottaway. He played for England as the centre forward. The keeper for the English team was named Robert Baker. None of these players on either team subbed out during the match, likely because they wanted to support their country as much as they could. The news of this massive turning point spread throughout the world as fast as it could. Once the news of this match started spreading, many other countries decided to also test their skills against each other.
This match was the first out of many international football matches. 11 years after the first international match, the four British football associations created a uniform code and formed the International Football Association Board, also known as the IFAB. This was the world's first international football association, or IFA. The four British FAs were the main football associations of the UK. These countries were England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The IFAB was created to keep football in line and add roles such as the penalty kick. The IFAB made many adjustments to football since the face-off between England and Scotland, which we still use today. We've looked at many different sites and articles to find out more about why the sport is so popular in other countries, but not so much in the US. This is because the US joined the World Cup a lot later than most other countries, which allowed all the other major football-playing countries to grow more popular over the years. While the rest of the world was playing football, people of the US were dealing with civil wars and growing the popularity of American football. Over the 2022 World Cup, we saw that about 5 million people watched the World Cup matches. Most Americans don't think of football as the way others do. They mostly think of the American version of the sport that is played with the hands. This sport originated from the version that people play with their feet and is known all across the world. And a lot of people in America don't see that the same way. This sport has effectively brought a large number of people all around the world together, and some people need to pay more attention to this to know the true impact this sport has had on the world. This turning point of a game is the start of many international games to come, bringing together countries and starting the first international football league. This game had an incredible impact on more than just sports. International football matches have had a major impact on many wars and battles. The biggest impact that this had on battles was actually when the first international game took place. As stated, Scotland and England were in severe bloody rivalry until this game. This game has also stopped multiple wars, including a civil war in Africa for 3 days, just because Pele, a star African football player, was playing. World War I has also stopped for a day. Many sources say this was for Christmas, and others say this is for a football game. Either way, during this time of truce, soldiers from both sides of the war met in no man's land and played games of football and sang carols. This turning point game sparked a very entertaining and fun to play game to flourish throughout the world. So far, there have been tens of thousands of World Cups matches. This is the first, and there are many more to come. Over time, there have been teams that have come to be more prominent in each World Cup. In this most recent World Cup in 2022, the final match was between Argentina and France. These two teams have their bigger, higher paid players. Because of this first match, we now have all these great benefits that come along with the game we have now. Football is a turning point in many people's lives, and it all started with the first match.